Tonight, we tell the story of one of Tolkien's greatest heroes, a warrior so powerful that even the Nazgul feared him, a lord of Rivendell whose presence shone with a light few mortals could fully understand, a hero who fought a Balrog long before Gandalf ever faced one beneath the mountains of Moria. And perhaps most remarkably of all, a hero who died, journeyed to the Blessed Realm, and returned. Many fans know Aragorn, many know Gandalf, many know Legolas, yet Glorfindel remains one of the most extraordinary figures in all of Tolkien's legendarium. A warrior of the First Age, a survivor of Gondolin, a guardian of Rivendell, and a living bridge between the oldest days of Middle-earth and the events of The Lord of the Rings. Tonight, we will follow his story across thousands of years, from the hidden city of Gondolin to the mountain pass where he faced a Balrog, to his mysterious return from death itself, and finally to the roads of the Third Age, where he helped shape the fate of the ring. So before we begin, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy relaxing journeys through Tolkien's world. And let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. Now, dim the lights, get comfortable beneath your blankets, listen to the distant wind among the mountains, and let us travel back to a time before the sun had completed even a fraction of its journeys across the sky. A time when one of the greatest cities ever built still stood hidden from the world. The story begins in Gondolin, the hidden city. Few places in all of Tolkien's legendarium inspire such wonder. Hidden among encircling mountains and protected by secret ways known to only a handful of people, Gondolin existed almost like a dream made real. Its white towers rose beneath clear skies. Its fountains sparkled in the sunlight. Its streets echoed with music and laughter. While much of Beleriand suffered beneath the shadow of Morgoth, Gondolin endured, safe, beautiful, untouched. The traveler can imagine seeing the city from afar, the mountains opening suddenly, the hidden valley revealed, golden roofs gleaming beneath the sun, countless banners fluttering in the wind. The city seemed less like a fortress and more like a vision, a memory of paradise preserved in Middle-earth. Among its many noble houses stood one especially admired, the House of the Golden Flower. Its warriors carried golden emblems upon their armor. Its banners shimmered like sunlight upon fields of summer wheat. Its people were known not only for courage, but also for beauty and grace, and among them rose a young lord named Glorfindel. Even in a city filled with remarkable individuals, Glorfindel stood apart. Not because he sought attention, not because he demanded authority, but because some individuals possess a natural nobility that others immediately recognize. The histories tell us surprisingly little about his early years, yet what they reveal is enough. He became lord of one of Gondolin's most respected houses, a position requiring wisdom, leadership, and trust. The traveler imagines him walking the streets of the hidden city during those peaceful years, golden banners overhead, children playing beside fountains, the distant mountains standing watch around the valley, the scent of flowers drifting through warm summer air. These were good years, years of peace, years when the future still seemed bright. Few people within Gondolin fully understood how fragile that peace truly was. Far to the north, Morgoth still watched, still searched, still waited. And even as Glorfindel's reputation grew, Forces were already moving that would eventually bring fire and ruin to the most beautiful city ever built by the elves. But for now, Gondolin remained untouched. The bells rang from its towers, the fountains sang within its plazas, and beneath banners of gold, the young lord of the House of the Golden Flower enjoyed the final peaceful years before history changed forever. The years passed gently in Gondolin. Within the hidden valley, life followed rhythms that seemed untouched by the troubles of the outside world. Seasons came and went. Snow gathered upon the encircling peaks before melting into streams that fed the city's fountains and gardens. Flowers bloomed along stone pathways. Music drifted from open courtyards during warm evenings. The traveler can almost believe the city would last forever. Many of its people believed something similar, not because they were foolish, because Gondolin appeared invincible. Its location remained secret. Its defenses were formidable. Its warriors ranked among the finest in all of Beleriand. And among those warriors, few were more admired than the Lord of the House of the Golden Flower. Glorfindel's name became increasingly respected throughout the city, not through dramatic acts, not through boasts or displays of pride, rather through steady excellence, the sort that gradually earns trust, the sort that causes others to follow naturally. The histories rarely describe him in detail, yet what little they do reveal is striking. Again and again, Glorfindel appears as someone others relied upon, someone respected by warriors and nobles alike, someone whose courage never required advertisement. The traveler imagines him standing upon the high walls of Gondolin at sunrise, the mountains glowing gold beneath the first light of morning, the city awakening below, the sounds of daily life beginning to stir. In moments like these, it must have seemed impossible that Gondolin could ever fall. The city had endured for generations. Many believed it would endure for generations more. Yet, hidden cities carry a peculiar danger. Their safety can create confidence. Confidence can become certainty, and certainty often blinds people to approaching threats. Glorfindel appears to have avoided that mistake. While others enjoyed the peace of Gondolin, he remained a warrior, not because war consumed his thoughts, because vigilance remained necessary. Beyond the mountains, Morgoth still ruled from Angband. The dark enemy had not been defeated, only contained. For centuries, that distinction mattered little to the people of Gondolin. To warriors like Glorfindel, it mattered greatly. The House of the Golden Flower trained constantly. Its warriors maintained discipline. Their armor remained polished. Their weapons remained ready, not from fear, from duty. The traveler can imagine the training grounds beneath clear skies, golden banners fluttering overhead, the sound of swords striking shields, the rhythm of disciplined practice. The city may have been hidden, but its defenders never forgot their purpose, and among them, Glorfindel stood as an example. Not merely a commander, a leader. The difference is important. Commanders give orders. Leaders inspire confidence. The stories that survive suggest Glorfindel possessed the latter gift naturally. People trusted him, not because of rank, because of character. The traveler notices something unusual about many of Tolkien's greatest heroes. They rarely seek greatness. It finds them. Glorfindel belongs firmly within that tradition. Nothing suggests personal ambition. Nothing suggests a desire for power. He appears content serving his city and his people, content protecting something beautiful. There is a quiet nobility in that, especially when compared to other figures whose stories revolve around crowns and kingdoms. Glorfindel's story begins with service, and it remains defined by service until the very end. The years continue passing. The city prospers. Its white towers shine beneath sunlight. Its marketplaces thrive. Its gardens flourish. From the outside, Gondolin seems blessed, a final refuge of beauty amid a wounded world. The traveler can almost hear the fountains splashing within its plazas, can almost see children running through sunlit streets, can almost feel the confidence of a people who believe they have escaped history's dangers. Yet history has a way of finding even the most hidden places. Far beyond the mountains, events continue unfolding. Battles are fought, kingdoms weaken, secrets spread, and eventually, one secret proves fatal. Because no fortress remains hidden forever, no city remains beyond the reach of fate. The traveler knows what awaits. The title of the next chapter leaves little mystery. The Fall of Gondolin. Perhaps the most tragic event of the First Age. A catastrophe so immense that songs would remember it thousands of years later. The city still stands for now. Its towers still gleam beneath the sun. Its people still walk peaceful streets. Glorfindel still leads the House of the Golden Flower. Yet unseen forces are already moving. Betrayal has already taken root. And somewhere beyond the northern mountains, Morgoth has finally learned what he sought for centuries: the location of the hidden city. The doom of Gondolin is approaching, and when it comes, Glorfindel will earn a place in legend that is endured across every age that follows. Let us leave the peaceful years behind. The fountains still sing. The banners still flutter above white towers. The sunlight still shines upon Gondolin. But the final day has arrived, and no one yet knows it. For centuries, the hidden city had stood untouched, protected by mountains, protected by secrecy, protected by the belief that some places might escape the darkness consuming the world. But Morgoth was patient. Far more patient than most people realize. He could wait years, decades, even centuries, and eventually, patience brought him what force never could: knowledge. The location of Gondolin. The secret had been revealed through betrayal, one of the oldest tragedies in Tolkien's legendarium. Not a fortress defeated by strength, a fortress defeated by information. The traveler imagines the first signs appearing at dawn, watchers upon the walls noticing movement in distant valleys, strange shadows where none should be, the uneasy feeling that something is wrong, very wrong. Then comes certainty. The mountains surrounding Gondolin begin filling with enemies, not a raiding force, not a small army, an invasion. One of the greatest assaults of the First Age. The city awakens to war. Bells ring from towers. Messengers race through streets. Warriors gather beneath their banners. The peaceful rhythms of daily life vanish instantly. In their place comes urgency, fear, determination. The traveler can almost hear the sound, the ringing alarms, a clash of armor, the thunder of distant drums echoing among the mountains, and above all, the realization spreading through the city: Gondolin has been found. For many citizens, the truth seems impossible. The city has always been hidden, always protected, always safe. Yet the evidence stands before them. The enemy surrounds the valley. The final battle has begun. Glorfindel gathers the warriors of the House of the Golden Flower. Their banners rise above the streets. Golden sunlight catches polished armor. The sight is magnificent, yet heartbreaking, because the traveler knows many of these warriors will never see another sunrise. Still, there is no panic. Not among the defenders, only resolve. The people of Gondolin understand what is at stake. Their homes, their families, their city. Everything they love stands behind them, and so they fight. The battle that follows becomes one of the most legendary conflicts in Tolkien's history, not merely because of its scale, because of its tragedy. The traveler imagines the streets of Gondolin transformed into battlefields, fire spreading across rooftops, smoke rising into the sky, the white city glowing red beneath the flames. Everywhere, defenders struggle desperately to hold back the tide. The enemy seems endless. Orcs flood through breaches. Monstrous creatures march beneath Morgoth's banners. The city shakes beneath the violence. And yet, Gondolin does not surrender. Not immediately, not easily. Its defenders fight with astonishing courage, house by house, street by street, tower by tower. Among them stands Glorfindel, the Lord of the Golden Flower. The traveler can picture him moving through the chaos, his armor gleaming amid smoke and fire, his banner still visible, his warriors rallying around him. The histories speak of his courage during these terrible hours, not because he sought glory, because others needed leadership. The city begins falling apart around him. Buildings collapse, flames spread. Entire districts disappear beneath smoke, yet the defenders continue fighting. The traveler notices something important here. Many stories focus on the destruction. The fire, the violence, the ruin. But Tolkien's version of the Fall of Gondolin is ultimately about something else. Sacrifice. Again and again, individuals place themselves between danger and those they protect. Again and again, heroes choose duty over survival. Glorfindel belongs firmly among them. As the battle worsens, a grim reality becomes unavoidable. The city cannot be saved. The walls are breached. The defenses are failing. The enemy continues advancing. The leaders of Gondolin face a terrible choice: remain and die, or evacuate as many people as possible. The decision is made. A group of survivors must escape. Women, children, refugees. The last remnants of the hidden city. The traveler imagines them gathering amid smoke and confusion, leaving behind homes they will never see again, leaving behind a city that defined their entire lives. The sorrow is immense. Yet, there is no alternative. Gondolin is doomed. Only its people can still be saved. And so, the refugees begin their journey, out through secret paths, into the mountains, away from the burning city. Behind them, Gondolin dies. Its towers collapse. Its streets vanish beneath fire. Its glory becomes memory. Ahead lies uncertainty, danger, a desperate escape through hostile terrain. Glorfindel travels with the refugees, not because he must, because that is where he is needed. The strongest warriors place themselves between the survivors and the pursuing enemy, a living shield, a final line of protection. The mountains rise around them, cold, steep, unforgiving. The escape route narrows. The traveler feels the tension growing because the story is approaching its most famous moment, the moment that transformed Glorfindel from a respected lord into a legend. Far behind them, Gondolin burns. Far ahead lies survival. And somewhere along the mountain path, an ancient terror waits, a creature of shadow and flame, a Balrog of Morgoth. The same kind of being that Gandalf will one day face beneath the depths of Moria. Only this battle comes thousands of years earlier, upon a lonely mountain pass at the very edge of hope. And before the refugees can reach safety, someone must stand against it. The refugees continue climbing. Behind them, Gondolin burns. The glow of the city illuminates the distant sky, turning the clouds red like a permanent sunset. Ahead lies only darkness, mountains, narrow paths, uncertainty. Some say the traveler can imagine the exhaustion settling over the survivors. Many have lost everything: homes, friends, entire lives left behind among the ruins of the hidden city. Yet they continue moving, because stopping means death. The mountain path twists higher and higher. Cold winds sweep through the passes. Loose stones shift beneath weary feet. The journey is difficult even without pursuit, and pursuit is exactly what follows them. The armies of Morgoth are not content with destroying Gondolin. They intend to destroy its people as well. The last survivors of the hidden city must not escape. The traveler feels the tension growing with every step. The path narrows. The cliffs steepen. The mountains close around the refugees. And then comes the moment. The moment that Tolkien fans have remembered for generations. The ambush. High among the rocks, enemies descend upon the fleeing survivors. Orcs, monsters. Creatures serving the will of Morgoth. The attack is sudden, violent, desperate. The narrow pass erupts into chaos. The strongest warriors immediately place themselves between the attackers and the refugees. Glorfindel stands among them. The Lord of the House of the Golden Flower. A survivor of Gondolin, a warrior already proven in battle. Yet, what approaches now is unlike anything else upon the mountain. The traveler imagines the first glimpse, a shape moving among fire and shadow, larger than the surrounding warriors, terrible, ancient, a being from the earliest darkness of the world. A Balrog. Even among Morgoth's servants, the Balrogs inspired fear. They were not mere monsters, they were corrupted spirits. Creatures of immense power, wrapped in flame and terror. Throughout the history of Middle-earth, very few individuals ever faced one. Fewer survived. The traveler immediately understands the danger. If the Balrog reaches the refugees, the escape ends here. The survivors of Gondolin perish. The last hope of the hidden city dies upon the mountain. Someone must stop it. Someone must hold the pass. And Glorfindel steps forward. There is no long speech, no dramatic declaration, only action, only duty. The traveler notices how perfectly this fits his character. Glorfindel never seeks glory. He simply goes where he is needed. And at this moment, he is needed more than ever. The battle narrows. The refugees continue moving towards safety, while the warriors fight desperately behind them. The mountain pass becomes a place of fire and steel, a place where history balances upon a knife's edge. The Balrog advances. Flames illuminate the rocks, shadows leap across the cliffs. The ancient terror seems almost unstoppable. Yet Glorfindel stands his ground. The traveler imagines the scene as Tolkien describes it. Wind roaring through the heights, fire reflecting from armor, the abyss waiting below. Two figures meeting at the narrowest point of the path. One, a lord of the Eldar, the other, a demon of Morgoth. Light against darkness, hope against despair. The duel becomes legendary, not because it is long, because of what it represents. The Balrog embodies the destruction that has consumed Beleriand for centuries. Glorfindel embodies everything Gondolin once stood for: courage, beauty, sacrifice. The battle rages upon the edge of the precipice. Steel clashes against ancient power. The mountain itself seems to tremble. The traveler feels the scale of the moment. Entire futures depend upon the outcome. Not merely lives, histories. If the refugee survives, the bloodline of Gondolin survives. If they perish, countless future events disappear from history. The struggle reaches its climax. The Balrog is finally overcome. The creature falls, defeated. Yet victory comes at a terrible price. For as the Balrog falls into the abyss below, it drags Glorfindel with it. The traveler pauses here, because this is one of the most powerful moments in Tolkien's entire legendarium. Glorfindel wins. The refugees are saved. The pass is held. The survivors escape. Everything he set out to accomplish succeeds. And yet, he does not live to see it. The Lord of the House of the Golden Flower disappears into the depths beside his enemy. The mountains fall silent. The battle ends. The survivors continue their journey. Behind them lies Gondolin. Ahead lies an uncertain future. And Glorfindel is gone. The traveler imagines the grief that follows. Not merely because a warrior has fallen, because a symbol has fallen. One of Gondolin's greatest heroes, one of its noblest leaders, lost at the very moment of victory. For most stories, this would be the end. A heroic death, a legend, a name remembered in songs. And for thousands of years, many readers believed exactly that. But Glorfindel's story is unlike almost any other in Tolkien's world, because death is not the end of his journey. Not even close. Far beyond the circles of Middle-earth, far beyond the mountains and seas, a far stranger chapter is about to begin. For while the refugees continue their road through the mortal world, Glorfindel's path leads somewhere few heroes have ever gone. To Valinor itself, and eventually back again. Let us leave the mountains behind. The duel is over. The Balrog has fallen. The refugees continue their long journey into an uncertain future. And far above the broken lands of Beleriand, the stars shine quietly over a world that has just lost one of its greatest heroes. Or so it seems. For most stories, this would be the end. The hero sacrifices himself. His people survive. His name enters legend. The final page closes. But Tolkien's world is stranger than that, and Glorfindel's story is far from finished. The traveler must remember something important about elves. Unlike men, their fate after death is different. Their spirits do not leave the world entirely. Instead, they are summoned westward, beyond the sea, beyond Middle-earth, to the halls of Mondos in Valinor, a place of waiting, reflection, healing. It is one of the most mysterious ideas in Tolkien's mythology, because very few characters ever travel that road and return. Glorfindel is one of the rare exceptions. The traveler imagines the silence after the fall, the noise of battle fading, the mountains disappearing, the burdens of the physical world falling away. No fire, no darkness, no fear, only stillness. A stillness deeper than any silence found in Middle-earth. The journey west begins, not across roads, not across oceans. A different kind of journey, one beyond the reach of mortal understanding. Tolkien never describes every detail, and perhaps that is for the best. Some mysteries gain power from remaining mysterious. Yet we know enough to glimpse the shape of what happened. Glorfindel's spirit reaches the Blessed Realm, the Undying Lands, the homeland from which many of the Eldar had once departed. The traveler imagines light, not blinding light, warm light, gentle light, the sort of light that seems woven into the world itself. The wounds of battle fade, the exhaustion of centuries fades, the grief of Gondolin fades. For the first time in a very long time, there is peace. The hidden city is gone. The wars of Beleriand continue far away. Yet here, beyond the sea, none of that remains. Only healing, only time. The traveler notices something remarkable. Tolkien does not describe Glorfindel as being punished, nor does he describe him as merely resting. Instead, the impression we receive is one of restoration, growth, preparation. The hero who died on the mountain pass is not simply preserved. He becomes something greater. The years pass differently in Valinor. Perhaps centuries, perhaps longer. Time matters less there. The Blessed Realm exists beyond many of the concerns shaping ordinary history. Meanwhile, Middle-earth continues changing. Balrog sinks beneath the sea. The First Age ends, the Second Age rises. Kingdoms appear, kingdoms disappear. Entire civilizations emerge and vanish. Still, Glorfindel remains in the West, waiting, learning. The traveler imagines him walking beneath the trees of Valinor, a place he may have known long before Gondolin ever existed. Long before the mountain pass, long before the wars against Morgoth. The circles of his life seem almost complete, yet something remains unfinished. Because Middle-earth still needs heroes. The darkness has not vanished. The defeat of Morgoth does not end evil forever. Other shadows remain. Other dangers wait beyond the horizon. And among the powers of the West, a decision slowly begins to form. A rare decision. An extraordinary decision. Glorfindel will not remain in Valinor forever. The traveler pauses here, because this is where his story becomes truly unique. Many heroes die. Many heroes are remembered. Almost none are sent back. Glorfindel's sacrifice upon the mountain pass has earned something remarkable. Trust, honor, purpose. The powers of the West recognize what he represents. Courage without pride, strength without ambition, sacrifice without reward. Exactly the qualities Middle-earth will need in the ages ahead. The traveler can almost sense the future waiting. The rise of Sauron, the forging of rings, the fall of kingdoms, the long struggle against darkness. History continues moving. And somewhere beyond the sea, Glorfindel prepares for a second life, a second mission, a second chance to serve. Not because he seeks it, because it is asked of him. The stars continue shining above Middle-earth. The centuries continue passing. And while most of the world fand forgets the Lord of the House of the Golden Flower, his story quietly approaches an impossible chapter. For soon, a hero long believed dead will walk the roads of Middle-earth once more. Not as a memory, not as a legend, but as Glorfindel himself, returned from the Blessed Realm, returned from death, returned for a purpose that will shape the fate of ages yet to come. Let us remain for a little while in the West, far beyond the shores of Middle-earth, far beyond the reach of mortal kingdoms. The centuries have passed quietly. The wounds of Gondolin have healed. The shadow of the mountain pass has faded into memory, and Glorfindel, once Lord of the House of the Golden Flower, stands again beneath the light of Valinor. Yet, he is not the same elf who fell fighting the Balrog. How could he be? Few beings in Tolkien's world experience what Glorfindel experienced. He has seen the glory of Gondolin, the destruction of Gondolin, death itself, and beyond death, renewal. The traveler imagines him walking beneath the undying trees of the Blessed Realm. The years no longer feel heavy. The sorrows of the First Age no longer dominate every thought. The hero who once fought desperately upon a narrow mountain pass has gained something rare: perspective, a wider view of the world, a deeper understanding of sacrifice, a greater appreciation for humility. These qualities matter because eventually the powers of the West decide that Glorfindel's work is not finished. Middle-earth still needs guardians, still needs wisdom, still needs those willing to stand against darkness. The traveler should understand how unusual this is. Elves who died and reached Valinor generally remained there. Their stories ended. Their journeys were complete. Glorfindel's story begins again. Tolkien's later writings strongly suggest that he was sent back during the Second Age, or perhaps the early Third Age, as an emissary of the West. Not unlike the wizards who would later arrive, though different, very different. The wizards came cloaked in limitation, their power restrained, their memories clouded. Glorfindel returned as Glorfindel, a hero already proven, a servant already tested, a warrior whose loyalty required no further examination. The traveler can imagine the moment of departure, the sea stretching endlessly toward the horizon, the blessed realm fading behind him, the shores of Middle-earth waiting beyond the distance. It must have been a strange journey, not a voyage toward the unknown, a voyage back to a world he had once left forever. Many things had changed. Entire lands had disappeared beneath the sea. The First Age belonged to history. Most people living in Middle-earth had never heard the songs of Gondolin, never seen Beleriand, never known the world Glorfindel remembered. And yet he returned willingly, not to reclaim the past, to serve the future. The traveler notices how perfectly this reflects his character. Again and again, Glorfindel chooses duty over personal desire. At Gondolin, at the mountain pass, and now once more. He does not return seeking honor. He returns because help is needed. The centuries ahead prove difficult. Sauron's influence spreads. Kingdoms rise and fall. Wars reshape entire regions. Yet, wherever Glorfindel appears, the pattern remains the same. Service, protection, guidance. He becomes one of the great hidden defenders of Middle-earth. Not a king, not a conqueror. A guardian. The traveler imagines the reactions of those who encounter him. There must have been something unusual about Glorfindel. Something difficult to explain. Tolkien hints at this more than once. By the Third Age, Glorfindel possesses a spiritual presence unlike most other elves. A light, a power, a sense of authority, rooted not in rank, but in what he has experienced. He has seen things few living beings have seen. He has walked roads few have traveled, and those experiences remain visible in him, not physically. Spiritually, the traveler recalls something Gandalf later says about the great powers of the world. True authority rarely needs to announce itself. People feel it. They recognize it instinctively. Glorfindel seems to possess exactly that quality. The years continue passing. The Second Age gives way to the Third. The great kingdoms of men emerge. Some flourish, some collapse. Throughout it all, Glorfindel remains, watching, helping, protecting, not seeking glory, not seeking power, merely continuing the mission that began thousands of years earlier, the mission of resisting darkness wherever it appears. Perhaps that is what makes his story so compelling. Unlike many legendary heroes, Glorfindel never becomes obsessed with his own importance. His greatest achievement, the defeat of a Balrog, does not define him. His return from death does not define him. Even his extraordinary status among the Eldar does not define him. What defines him is consistency. The same courage, the same humility, the same willingness to place himself between danger and those who need protection. The traveler realizes something. When Glorfindel returned from Valinor, he did not simply resume his old life. He became something rare. A living bridge between ages. A witness connecting the First Age to the Third. One of the last surviving links to the world before the world changed. And as the centuries continue unfolding, that rule becomes increasingly important. For a dark power is rising once more. The kingdoms of the north face growing threats. A terrible enemy is gathering strength, and soon Glorfindel will step onto the stage of history again. Not in Gondolin, not in Balrog, but in the lands surrounding Rivendell, beside Elrond, beside the heirs of forgotten kingdoms, where prophecy awaits, a prophecy concerning the Lord of the Nazgul himself. And once again, Glorfindel's presence will alter the course of history. Let us leave the distant memories of Gondolin behind. The First Age has long since passed into legend. The mountains where Glorfindel fought the Balrog are now remembered only in songs and ancient tales. The world has changed. Entire continents have been reshaped. Kingdoms have risen and fallen. And yet, Glorfindel remains a living reminder of older days, a witness to ages that most people know only through stories. The traveler now finds him in a very different part of Middle-earth, the North, a land of forests, hills, ruined watchtowers, and forgotten roads, a land where history lingers quietly beneath the grass. And at its heart stands Rivendell, the last homely house, the refuge founded by Elrond Half-Elven. Few places in Middle-earth feel more peaceful. Sheltered among valleys and rivers, Rivendell seems untouched by the troubles of the wider world. Yet, appearances can be deceptive. Because throughout much of the Third Age, the North remains one of the most dangerous regions in Middle-earth. The kingdom of Arnor has fallen. Its cities lie abandoned. Its watchtowers crumble. Its royal line grows thin. And beyond the wild lands lurks an enemy more patient than most realize. The Witch King of Angmar, the greatest servant of Sauron, the Lord of the Nazgul. For centuries, he wages war against the northern kingdoms, not always through open battle. Sometimes through fear, sometimes through manipulation, sometimes through slow destruction. Kingdoms weaken, borders collapse, the wilderness spreads. The traveler imagines the old roads of Arnor during these years. Broken stones emerging from fields, ruined bridges crossing quiet rivers, watchtowers standing empty beneath the sky. Everywhere lie reminders of a kingdom that once stood strong. And throughout these troubled centuries, Glorfindel becomes one of its unseen defenders. Not a ruler, not a king, a guardian. The role suits him perfectly. The traveler notices how often Tolkien's greatest heroes occupy positions of service rather than authority. Elrond guides rather than commands. Gandalf advises rather than rules. And Glorfindel follows the same pattern. His strength exists to protect others, not to elevate himself. The years pass. The Witch King grows stronger. The northern kingdoms grow weaker. Many people lose hope, yet Rivendell endures, partly because of Elrond, partly because of hidden guardians like Glorfindel. The traveler imagines him riding through the northern wilds during these years, ancient forests stretching beneath the stars, the wind moving through forgotten ruins, danger hiding beyond every horizon. Few travelers realize how much work is required to preserve peace. How many threats are stopped before ordinary people ever hear about them. Glorfindel spends centuries performing exactly that task. The quiet work of protection. The work that rarely appears in songs. The work that often matters most. His presence alone becomes a source of reassurance, not merely because he is powerful, because he embodies continuity. The kingdoms may change, the roads may crumble, yet Glorfindel remains steady, reliable, unshaken. The traveler can understand why Elrond valued him so highly. Both had witnessed immense loss. Both carried memories stretching back to the elder days. Both understood how fragile peace truly was. Together, they helped preserve a small corner of beauty amid an increasingly uncertain world. And increasingly, that uncertainty centers upon a single enemy, the Witch King. The traveler notices an interesting contrast. The Witch King represents fear. Glorfindel represents hope. The Witch King spreads despair wherever he rides. Glorfindel inspires courage. The Witch King serves domination. Glorfindel serves protection. In many ways, they are opposites. Their paths seem destined to cross. And eventually, they do. The wars against Angmar intensify. Battles reshape the North. Kingdoms stand upon the brink of collapse. The final confrontation approaches. A confrontation that will produce one of the most famous prophecies in Tolkien's legendarium. A prophecy so well known that many fans remember the words without remembering who spoke them. Yet, it is Glorfindel. Not Gandalf. Not Elrond. The Lord who once fell fighting a Balrog. The hero who returned from the Blessed Realm. The guardian of Rivendell. And soon, upon a battlefield far from Gondolin, he will make a prediction that echoes across centuries. Prediction concerning the fate of the Witch King himself. One that will remain unfulfilled until the very end of the War of the Ring. Let us remain in the north a little longer. The ruins of Arnor still lie scattered across the wilderness. Ancient roads disappear beneath grass and moss. Forgotten towers watch over empty hills. The kingdom that once stood here is nearing its end. And at the center of its troubles stands the Witch King of Angmar. For generations, he has been the great enemy of the North, a shadow moving behind wars and invasions, a ruler of fear, a servant of Sauron, whose patience rivals that of his master. The traveler imagines the long struggle, year after year, battle after battle. The kingdoms of men gradually shrinking beneath relentless pressure. Defenses fail, strongholds fall. Hope becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Yet even during these dark years, resistance continues. The free peoples do not surrender easily. Elves fight beside men. Old alliances endure. And among the defenders rides Glorfindel. By now, he has become something more than a warrior, more than a lord. He is a figure of legend, walking among ordinary history. Most people he encounters know only fragments of his story. They do not know Gondolin. They do not know the mountain pass. They do not know the Blessed Realm. Yet, they sense something unusual, something ancient, something powerful. The traveler remembers Tolkien's descriptions of great elves. Their presence often seems brighter than that of ordinary people, not literally, spiritually. As though a deeper light shines through them. Few embodied that quality more strongly than Glorfindel. And nowhere becomes more apparent than during the final war against Angmar. The conflict reaches its climax upon the plains near Fornost, the last capital of the Northern Kingdom. The battle is fierce. The armies of Angmar fight desperately. The defenders fight even harder. The future of the North hangs in the balance. At last, the Witch King's forces break. Defeat spreads through their ranks. The armies of Angmar collapse. Victory belongs to the defenders. Yet, one final task remains. The Witch King himself escapes the battlefield. The Lord of the Nazgul flees. Many pursue him. Among them rides Eärnur of Gondor, a proud and courageous prince who later becomes king. The traveler imagines the scene, the battlefield fading behind them, the enemy retreating into the distance, horse hooves thundering across open ground. The Witch King, still dangerous despite defeat, still feared despite failure. Eärnur seeks glory, a final victory, the destruction of the enemy leader. But before he can reach him, another rider intervenes, Glorfindel. The traveler notices something remarkable here. This moment lasts only a short time in Tolkien's histories, yet its consequences echo for over 1,000 years. Glorfindel sees something others do not through calculation, not through strategy, through foresight. One of those mysterious glimpses beyond ordinary understanding, occasionally granted to the great among the Eldar. The Witch King turns and departs. He is not captured, he is not slain, and Eärnur is frustrated. A dangerous enemy has escaped. The opportunity appears lost. Yet Glorfindel remains calm, and then he speaks the words that become legend, not in anger, not dramatically, simply as a statement of fact. He says, "Far off yet is his doom, and not by the hand of man will he fall." The traveler pauses here, because these words become one of the most famous prophecies in Middle-earth. At the time, few understand their significance. The Witch King survives. History continues. The moment passes. Yet Glorfindel's prediction remains, waiting patiently for centuries. The traveler imagines Eärnur hearing those words, perhaps confused, perhaps unconvinced. The future remains hidden. Only Glorfindel seems to perceive part of its shape. The Witch King's story is not ending here. His fate lies elsewhere, in another age, upon another battlefield. The years continue passing. The kingdoms of the north finally disappear. The last remnants of Arnor fade into history. Yet Rivendell endures, and Glorfindel remains there, watching, waiting, protecting. His role increasingly resembles that of a guardian, standing at the edge of history. Others rise and fall around him. Kings come and go. Wars begin and end. Still, he remains. The traveler reflects upon how unusual his life has become. A lord of Gondolin, a slayer of a Balrog, a traveler returned from death, a defender of Arnor, a prophet whose words will shape future ages. Few characters in Tolkien's world possess such an extraordinary journey. Yet Glorfindel never appears interested in fame. That may be the most remarkable thing of all. The prophecy spreads gradually. Stories preserve it. Generations remember it. Meanwhile, Glorfindel continues his work, quietly, without fanfare. exactly as he always has. The centuries drift onward. The Third Age approaches its final years. The shadow of Sauron grows once more. The ring waits to be found. And far away in the Shire, events begin unfolding that will eventually draw all the great powers of Middle-earth into one final struggle. The traveler knows what comes next. The roads, the Nazgul, the wounded ring-bearer, and a rider in white whose arrival changes everything. For when Frodo Baggins desperately needs help, one of the oldest heroes in Middle-earth will ride out to meet him. And once again, Glorfindel will stand between darkness and those who cannot face it alone. Let us leave the fallen kingdoms behind. The centuries pass like drifting leaves upon a river. The wars against Angmar become history. The prophecy concerning the Witch King settles into legend. The world changes once again. And now, at last, we approach the events most familiar to readers of The Lord of the Rings. The Third Age is ending. The shadow of Sauron is rising. Far to the east, dark armies gather. Far to the west, an unsuspecting hobbit carries the most dangerous object in Middle-earth. And somewhere between them rides Glorfindel. The traveler notices something fascinating about this period. By now, Glorfindel is unimaginably old. Not merely old by mortal standards, ancient, even among the Eldar. He remembers Gondolin. He remembers the First Age. He remembers a world that vanished thousands of years ago. Most people around him know those events only through songs. Yet for Glorfindel, they remain memories. Still, he does not dwell in the past. His attention remains fixed upon the present, upon the dangers unfolding around Rivendell, upon the growing threat of the Nazgul, upon the strange reports arriving from the western lands, reports concerning a ring. The traveler imagines Rivendell during these uneasy weeks. The last homely house remains peaceful. Its rivers sing beneath the stars. Its gardens glow beneath autumn sunlight. Yet, beneath that tranquility lies concern. Messengers arrive. News spreads. The wise begin realizing that events are moving faster than expected. The enemy is searching. The Nazgul ride openly. The hunt has begun. And then comes the message. A hobbit named Frodo Baggins is approaching Rivendell. Wounded, pursued, running out of time. The traveler remembers that in Tolkien's original story, it is Glorfindel, not Arwen, who rides out to find him. This detail often surprises modern audiences, yet it fits perfectly. When Rivendell requires a rider capable of facing the Nazgul, Glorfindel is an obvious choice. Few beings in Middle-earth possess greater spiritual strength. Few inspire greater fear among the servants of Sauron. The traveler imagines the moment he departs. The autumn air is cool. The leaves shimmer gold and red among the trees. The roads ahead are uncertain. Danger waits beyond every hill. Yet Glorfindel rides calmly, confidently. Not because the situation is safe, because courage has become second nature to him. The years have taught him something important. Fear serves little purpose when duty calls. The journey carries him westward through the wilderness. The land grows quieter. The signs of danger become easier to spot. Broken branches, disturbed earth. The subtle traces left by riders moving swiftly through the wild. The Nazgul are near. The traveler can almost feel the tension building. The ringwraiths terrify nearly everyone they encounter. Even experienced warriors struggle to face them. Quote, "Their presence chills the air. Their voices inspire dread. Their very existence seems designed to crush hope. Yet Glorfindel approaches them without hesitation." Tolkien later hints at something remarkable. When Frodo sees Glorfindel through eyes partly opened to the unseen world, he perceives the elf differently. Not merely as a noble warrior, as a being of light, a radiant figure shining with spiritual power. The traveler pauses here because this detail reveals just how extraordinary Glorfindel truly is. The Nazgul inhabit both the seen and unseen worlds. They perceive realities hidden from ordinary eyes. And in that realm, Glorfindel appears terrifying to them. Not because he is cruel, because his spirit burns brightly. Bright enough to challenge creatures born of shadow. The search continues. The roads twist through forests and hills. Time grows short. Every hour matters. And finally, Glorfindel finds the travelers. Frodo, Aragorn, the companions struggling desperately toward Rivendell. The wounded ring-bearer weakens with every passing day. The Morgul blade works its poison slowly. Without help, he will never reach safety. The traveler imagines the relief of that moment, the sudden appearance of a powerful ally, the realization that hope remains, the knowledge that Rivendell is finally within reach. Glorfindel wastes no time. There is too much at stake. His horse, Asphalothe, is among the swiftest in Middle-earth, strong, fearless, capable of outrunning the Nazgul themselves. The wounded Frodo is placed upon its back. The race toward Rivendell begins. And for one final time in his long life, the Lord of the House of the Golden Flower prepares to stand against the servants of darkness. Not upon the walls of Gondolin, not upon a mountain pass, but beside a river that will soon become one of the most famous locations in Tolkien's entire legendarium. For the Nazgul are coming. The chase has begun, and Glorfindel intends to make certain that Frodo reaches Rivendell alive. The race toward Rivendell has begun. Autumn winds sweep through the trees. The roads narrow. The shadows lengthen beneath the hills. And somewhere behind them ride the Nine, the Nazgul, the most feared servants of Sauron. For Frodo, every mile has become a struggle. The wound upon his shoulder grows worse with each passing day. The world around him feels distant, dreamlike, as though he is slowly slipping between two realities. The traveler remembers that this is precisely what the Morgul blade was designed to do. Not merely to kill, to transform, to draw its victim into the shadow world inhabited by the ringwraiths. Time is running out. Glorfindel knows this. Aragorn knows this. Every moment matters, and so the company presses onward toward the ford of Bruinen, the final crossing before Rivendell, the final barrier between the ring-bearer and his pursuers. The traveler imagines the urgency of those hours, the forests rushing past, the sound of hooves upon the road, the distant sense of danger growing stronger. The enemy is close, very close. Yet, through it all, Glorfindel remains calm, the same calmness that carried him through Gondolin, the same calmness that carried him into battle against a Balrog. Thousands of years have passed since those events, yet his character has not changed. Duty first, fear later, if fear comes at all. The traveler notices something remarkable about Glorfindel's role here. He does not dominate the story. He does not seek attention. He simply appears when he is needed most, as he has done throughout his entire life. A guardian, a protector. A servant of hope. The road descends toward the river. The sound of rushing water grows louder. The ford of Bruinen lies ahead. Safety lies ahead. But so do the Nazgul. The ringwraiths emerge behind Frodo at last. Dark riders, dark horses, dark cloaks fluttering in the wind. The servants of Sauron have nearly completed their hunt. The traveler imagines the scene, the river glimmering before them, the ringwraiths closing from behind. The wounded ring-bearer struggling to remain conscious. The tension feels almost unbearable. Yet, Glorfindel does not panic, because some battles are won long before they begin. The Nazgul fear many things: fire, water, the power of the elves. But perhaps most importantly, they fear beings who exist strongly in both the seen and unseen worlds. And Glorfindel is one of those beings. The traveler remembers Tolkien's own descriptions. To ordinary eyes, Glorfindel appears noble and beautiful. To the Nazgul, he appears far more frightening. A figure of radiant power, a light burning against the darkness. The sort of opponent they would prefer to avoid. The chase reaches its climax. Frodo crosses the ford. The Nazgul follow. And then comes one of the most iconic moments in all of Tolkien's mythology: the flood. The waters of Bruinen rise. Great waves rush down the valley. The river transforms into a force of overwhelming power. The ringwraiths are swept away, their horses destroyed, their pursuit shattered. The traveler pauses for a moment, because this victory belongs to many people. Elrond, Gandalf, the hidden power of Rivendell. Yet Glorfindel plays an essential role. Without him, Frodo never reaches the ford. Without him, the ring may never reach Rivendell. Without him, the entire story changes, and that feels fitting. For thousands of years, Glorfindel has stood quietly at the edge of great events, rarely the central figure, always important, always present when courage is needed. The traveler watches the river settle once more. The floodwaters recede. The danger passes. Frodo's long journey to Rivendell finally ends. And Glorfindel's role in The Lord of the Rings largely fades from view. Many readers have wondered why. Why does such a powerful figure not join the Fellowship? Why does he remain behind? The answer reveals much about his character. Glorfindel is not a hero seeking adventures. He serves where he is most useful. The wise understand that every person has a role. His role is not to carry the ring, not to march into Mordor. His role is to guard, to guide, to protect. Exactly as he has always done. The traveler now looks back across the long centuries of his life. The shining streets of Gondolin, the banners of the House of the Golden Flower, the burning city, the mountain pass, the Balrog, death, Valinor. His return, the wars of Arnor, the prophecy of the Witch King, the roads leading to Rivendell, the rescue of Frodo. It is an astonishing journey, perhaps one of the greatest in Tolkien's entire legendarium. And yet, Glorfindel rarely receives the attention given to other heroes. Perhaps that is why his story feels so special. He does not seek glory. He does not seek power. He does not seek remembrance. Again and again, he simply places himself between danger and those who need protection. That is the thread connecting every chapter of his life. Not strength, not fame, service. The traveler imagines Rivendell at evening, the river singing beneath the stars, the valley peaceful once more. Somewhere among its halls walks an elf who remembers Gondolin, an elf who has crossed death and returned, an elf whose courage helped shape the fate of Middle-earth across 3 different ages. Most travelers passing through Rivendell would never fully understand who he was. Most would see only a noble elf lord, but the reader knows better. The reader has followed the road from the first age to the 3rd, and in doing so has discovered something remarkable, that one of Tolkien's greatest heroes was never a king, never a conqueror, never a ruler of vast realms. He was simply Glorfindel, the Lord of the Golden Flower, the slayer of a Balrog, the elf who returned, and one of the brightest lights ever to shine in Middle-earth. The end.